The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 6 a.m. Eastern on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Star Cable, and very soon on Working Star Network. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. This hour of today's show, to start the show off tonight, I've invited an old friend of the X Zone, Douglas James Cottrell, is with us. And last when we talked with Douglas, he was in London, Ontario, but now he's moved here to Hamilton, and he has, they have a large building that they call the Mansion, and they're starting their mystery school called the College of Noetic Sciences and Quantum Physics. Noetic sciences, the study of thought and consciousness. Quantum physics, the study of matter and energy. Now, they also do their energy healing services every Sunday from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. as a nonprofit organization and a Canadian registered charity. So joining me now is my good friend, Douglas James Cottrell. And Doug, welcome back to the X Zone.
Always a pleasure to be with you, my friend. Thank you very much for inviting me back.
Well, you're such a busy guy. Tell us a little bit more about the move from London, Ontario, down to Hamilton.
Well, several years ago, we were given some intuitive information, if you will, a vision or some prophecy, that we should start an organization on a beach. And we looked all over. I traveled. I was in California and El Segundo and through to Reddington Beach and Huntington Beach and those areas. We were in New Jersey in the North Shore. We were in Tampa at St. Pete's Beach. We were in Vancouver. We were in Montreal. We were in Warwick and in Providence, Rhode Island, down by the sea or the beach. All these beaches were coming up, but we never quite found a place that was suitable or did it manifest all on its own. We were invited back to Hamilton to do some services, which we started out many years ago here in Hamilton, up on the mountain at a church. And for some reason that was sort of delayed.
Right.
And a man discovered this hall down on the beach. It was called the Hamilton Beach Rescue Hall. And we went and we did for several months, a year or two, services here on an irregular basis. The point of all this is that we didn't realize we were on the beach at the time. And since the rescue hall got busy, renting out rooms, renting out the hall, we had to look for, as we were expanding, a new location. Mm-hmm. 2 blocks down, we found this place at 180 Beach Boulevard, 22 rooms, a great big hall, a perfect location for us. On Beach Boulevard, on Hamilton Beach, straight here in the beach community. So beach, here we are.
All right. Douglas James Cottrell is our special guest of this first hour of tonight's show, X Zone Nation. And Douglas will be back with me on the other side of this commercial break. Now, from February the 23rd until March the 6th, we are going to be away from our studios. We're going to be down in Central America investigating firsthand the truth behind the Mayan prophecy. And we'll be reporting it online, as well as getting ready with many of our shows and many of our guests, an entire television show That will be aired when we come back. So that's more to come on that, and it's all going to be available at www.xzone2012.com. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. I'll be back with Douglas James Cottrell on the other side of this 2-minute break. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Exonation, Douglas James Cottrell is my special guest, and we're talking to Douglas about his move from London, Ontario to here in Hamilton, Ontario. And there's so much that is new with you, Douglas. But before we get back into that, I was mentioning that we're going to be down in Central America for nearly 10 days investigating the myth of the Mayan calendar. What is your take on December the 21st, 2012?
Well, there's been a lot to say about that, and coincidentally, we have a new book called The New Renaissance, a Prophecy of 2012 and Beyond, in which we've investigated, again, the Mayan calendar, the events that are taking place, pole shifting, the political, religious, and cultural events that are taking place. This is really a phenomenal year for change. It's also the Chinese year of the dragon, or water dragon, which is an unpredictable year. Everybody's afraid of December 2012, and I've created this book and also been talking a lot about these things that are happening now and what's going to happen as a end time, but it's not an ending time.
Yeah.
It's a time of change. And I think the Mayans had the long count calendar figured out that this would be the end of about 5,000 years of a certain type of existence, and the world is now going through in space a whole new area or region, which is making everybody super sensitive. There's changes in the air on all levels of society. And this particular point in time, I think, is like 9/11. You can say this was the day of, or in December, that is to say, it will be the day of one age ending and a new age beginning. But coming up to it, we're changing right now. Mammoth changes are happening in the world. The world is much different than it was 10 years ago, or 25 years ago, for that matter. And I think after this point in time, that we're going to have not a new world order, but we're certainly going to have getting back to the law of one. You'll be hearing a lot about that in the future, this law of one that comes from the ancient Atlantean time, which I think the Mayans and the Aztecs and the other ancient cultures, the Hopi, Indians, have had some reference or knowledge of, including Egyptian religious points of view, Hindu point of view, etc. The whole idea that we're coming back to where we left off 5,000 years ago, sort of like the law of one was a time where there were good souls who were trying to put forward compassion and good things in the world, and bad souls who were into selfish and aggrandizement, and it brought down the destruction of the world. It was the fourth destruction of the world, and now we're moving to the fifth Renaissance time, which I think the Mayans were tuned into, and they had it, if you will, this astrological clock on the long count to point to this is the time. This will be the line in the sand when we're going to see the world change. Now, when that happens, the world is going through all kinds of gyrations. I believe the world is rebelling, if you will. We're in a sensitivity where I think the people on the world are feeling and are becoming more close to the planet itself. But we're seeing Etna and Vesuvius are the two volcanic activities that will signal actually the change, the chiming of the clock, if you will, that we're moving into this new age. And I think we're seeing that this particular long count calendar is pointing to this time in December. But if we look back just from 9/11, where the world changed that day, So the bankers went before Congress in the U.S. and said we need billions of dollars. The world changed that day. I predicted a lot of the things that are happening, some on your show and some on YouTube, YouTube videos. There's over 300 about there talking about different things. But talking about this time in this year of 2012 is a time when sort of things are coming together, and yet they seem to be falling apart. The economic chaos in Europe, for instance, on Friday, 9 countries where their credit rating was lowering by a reporting agency.
Right, but when we look at what's happening in Europe, like I'm sorry, a lot of people saw that with the implementation of the euro that this was going to happen. Like that was a pretty dumb move.
Well, what it did is it linked all the countries together. The strong ones like Germany and then France and so to speak, linked up with the poor ones like Greeks and Portugal and Ireland. It was like bring on board. Everybody tries to get together for economic balance. It was it was a terrible thing. It was like the Americans when they came together with the United States in America. You had the Civil War happen soon thereafter. So we're looking at the same situation in Europe. I predicted these things, by the way, in a Spanish magazine, Antar magazine, I believe it's called, when I was there a year or so ago, maybe longer. And when I was making these predictions, people were telling me, no, this isn't going to happen. The economies are stable in Europe. But what happened in America with the gambling of other people's funds by the banks and the Madoffs of the world, they were the same going on in Spain and Europe. And now it's a comeuppance, sort of the self-fulfilling prophecy of 2012, which is a revealing of the truth. The old ways are falling apart and the new ways are coming together. And I think you're right. A lot of people predicted that there were going to be all kinds of woes. Certainly, we're going back in time. These are ancient tribal communities, if you will, coming together and trying to be friends. All right, but
where does a prediction and common sense cross the line?
Well, prediction happens in the future, and so when you see things like way in the future, there's no common sense because there's no reference.
All right.
There's no self-evidence, which is now self-evident.
Sure.
I was talking about Edna having, it's on a YouTube video, having an eruption in January, and it happened. I've been talking about the pole shift and that the Earth's core is spinning at a different speed than the crust. I did this a few years ago, and that's now in the common language. We're talking about when I made gold predictions on your show, I think years ago, talking about, not years ago, but some time ago, maybe years ago, I don't know. We know each other for a while now,
right.
About gold going to $1,000 and then $1,600 and $2,000, which it's done, and silver likewise. When you give a prophecy or prediction, it's out of the norm, and usually people tell me when I've made such statements in the past, can't happen. Way back when interest rates were 12 and 13%, I said they were going to go to 22, 24%. They said I was crazy, real estate people in particular. It happened. When I said they were going to go back down to 3 and 4%, people said impossible. It happened. And now I'm talking about interest rates going up to 25 or 30%, and I'm getting the same response, impossible. But now, these I've been saying these for a long time, a long time, talking about unrest and people having riots in the streets, and now it's self-evident. But the interest rates going up, it's now in the media where people are saying, yes, we now are in inflationary mode and things are going to happen. So common sense is more like in the present now, in the foreseeable future. It's a deductive thing or it's a probability thing. But when you make a prediction or a prophetic statement or a prophecy, it has to do with something that's in the future that isn't quite related and you can't quite see it coming. Some of the things I've said in the past, like for decades, I've been predicting that the future will be full of unrest and leading to uprising and rioting in the streets.
But when you say something like that, couldn't we say that that's just a generality, that it's a 50-50 chance that it may happen, like rioting in the streets? We've seen this throughout history.
It would be, from a certain intellectual perspective, you could say, yeah, well, that could happen.
Yeah.
But I've been saying specifically what's going to happen and what is now. These are signs of things that are going to happen. And what I've done in making such predictions, they've been tagged with things and explain, like in the book, The New Renaissance, A Prophecy for 2012 and Beyond, which is a downloadable book on my website. Not only does it make predictions of what's happening now and what's going to happen, but it explains how these things are going to happen. And nobody else ever has been able to, well, in my knowledge and people here at the college, nobody has ever gone that far to explain why these things are going to happen, like why earthquakes are going to happen and what's going to happen sort of in a mechanical way. So we've gone beyond just making statements like saying there's going to be riots in the streets. I mean, when I made these statements in Spain saying that there's going to be difficulties and political chaos in Spain, I was not aware of the climate there at all because I was a visitor. I made some statements about Barcelona being surrounded by water on two sides, like cups or like parentheses, and then in San Sebastian, which is in the north, Barcelona is in the southeast, if you will, and San Sebastian is in the north. That will be flooded. Now, I didn't have any reference to geography, and I didn't have any attachment to Barcelona. I hadn't even been there yet. But the point was that there are two rivers or two lakes that if the Mediterranean rises up, if it floods or comes up, it will flood and it will cup or surround Barcelona in the same manner or way that I saw in my mind. And if that happens, then it won't be a matter of time if the oceans are rising or the water levels are rising. That San Sebastian, which is very much like on a gradual ramp into the ocean, it will flood. Other people who lived in San Sebastian later told me they had such prophetic dreams about water coming up the streets in San Sebastian. Now, I say these things so that there's some idea that what we're looking at is giving information that is outside of my knowledge. And then when we go back and look at it, like we've done in the New Renaissance Prophecy for 2012 and Beyond book, we can now show logically why these things are happening and how they're going to happen and explain them. And nobody else has ever done that, I think, in books of prophecy or making predictions. And I think this is showing the intelligence of the spiritual mind and the intellectual mind. Many of the predictions I have said on YouTube, they're dated. We put things out on blogs and whatnot. This is to show that these things have been foreseen and they are accurate.
All right, Doug, stand by. I've got to take my news break at the bottom of the hour, and we'll be back shortly. Exonation, Douglas James Cottrell is our guest. Here's a couple of websites. First of all, www.douglasjamescottrell.com. That's www.douglasjamescottrell.com. And we'll give you another couple. We'll give you the website for the new college when we come back from this commercial break after the news with yours truly, Rob McConnell, here in the X Zone. Whatever you do, don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone at xzoneradiotv.com on MSN Messenger, X Zone Radio TV. at hotmail.com, our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Now, Douglas James Cottrell is my special guest this hour. His website, his business website is www.douglasjamescottrell.com. And the Charity Many Mission Spiritual Center Incorporated website is www.mmsci.org. Tell us a little bit about your Sunday services, Douglas.
Okay, we do some energy work or spiritual healing here. This is in the sense that we, like Reiki or other laying on of hands kind of spiritual healing.
Right.
We've been doing this for years and years, and we have on my website, there's documented miracle healing, if you will, where people have had profound instant healing. We don't claim anything, we don't promise anything, but people report this to us as to their improvement in their health. And it's something I've been doing, I guess since 1975 or 6 with Reverend Alec Holmes, an ordained Anglican minister who had this ability, demonstrated to me, and I kind of latched on to him, and he became a mentor for me. So the idea that we have this ability to influence physical health in a body is now more and more becoming accepted, like Reiki treatments. It used to be balancing and other forms of over the past therapeutic touch. But a lady, Lynn McTaggart, who's a scientist studying the quantum small particle physics, did a lot of experiments, and she found out that the smallest particles are influenced by thought and energy, which if we look back at the traditional forms of energy, we're talking about ley lines and other things around the house, but body we're looking at circumstances like chi energy and acupuncture energy that goes through the body. This makes sense because she effectively proved in a very basic way that science has demonstrated this innate intelligence that governs all matter and is at all levels can be influenced by thought or energy or prayer, if you will.
Right.
And we're big on prayer. I'm an ordained interfaith minister, and I also have a PhD in therapeutic counseling. And this is what goes on at our Sunday services, where we talk about the law of one, the similarities in the world's religions, although we don't believe one religion is more important or better than another. And we're welcoming everybody here down at 180 Beach Boulevard in Hamilton on Sunday afternoon, and come and listen to me talk, not too much, get to the spiritual healing, and people go away feeling well. We have a group of people who are like-minded. They can talk about their mystical, spiritual things. I'm sure when I tell everybody that you're going to South America to investigate the Mayan experiences, I feel that that's an exciting thing, and people would be very interested in that. And we would talk about such things. We talk about the different aspects of angels and prophecy, meditation. We have had a yoga teacher here who's excellent. One of the ladies from Shanti Yoga has been here, Miss Alex, and she's an excellent teacher. And so we're incorporating a community of people here, all starting in Hamilton, which we believe is some special place. We've been led here, it's been prophesized or directed here, and here we are on Hamilton Beach, which is just a fantastic place. I should say some people are referring to our facility here as Virginia Beach North, which is on the inside of that means the Edgar Cayce Foundation,
yes,
who also was a clairvoyant and a deep trance clairvoyant of the late 30s and 40s, most remarkable man. I'm a neophyte compared to him. And this is what I first found out about this ability, this intuition, this ability to go into the mind and find out information that is beyond your consciousness or physical control. We talk about all these things. We have a group of people here, and we welcome people to come on Sundays and partake of our sort of church service, but it's more like a metaphysical church service than it is a traditional one. But we have a statue of Mother Mary. We have who watches over me. We have the Holy Family, a large picture of Christ here. and also a large picture of Satya Sai Baba, the avatar from India.
So how does the service that you conduct differ from that, let's say, of a Christian church?
Well, we are Christian-based, that's for sure. I'm a Christian, and so I constantly sprinkle things in about the teachings of Christ. Mm-hmm. We talk about the metaphysical, mystical teachings. He chased out demons, for instance. He was able to do laying on of hands, and people were healed of physical ailments, but they were also healed of other things, emotional, mental, and spiritual things. He spoke to angels, which we believe in. So what we're kind of doing, we're upping the ante, where we don't say, I'm going to tell you what's in the Bible. I say, read the holy books. There are other mystical, spiritual books out there, or other Bibles, mm-hmm. if you will, that if you read them all, they're basically saying the same thing, which is what I put forward here, which is the golden rule. All the religions can be reduced to a single statement, and that statement is basically not to cause any harm to anyone else, or don't do something to someone else that you wouldn't want to have done to yourself. And what we do is we explain things like forgiveness. We mm-hmm. explain, and we also teach how to be generous, and how to forgive, and how to develop yourself spiritually, and that dreams and visions and all those things that are in the Bible, if you read the book of Corinthians, for instance, which has been my guide, it talks about, in a Christian way, about developing your spiritual gifts. And it's your duty, as far as I understand and read the scripture, it's your duty to develop yourself spiritually. And so in that way, we differ from churches who might go and make a nice sermon and tell people that it's a better way to get along. But we actually explore these abilities and these testaments, if you will, of how to be a good Christian and how to be a good spiritual person. Our motto is faith is built upon belief, and belief is built upon evidence. So we're not asking people to believe in something that might happen after they die. There might be a place in the heaven where you'll go to if you're good. We actually are telling people how to be good now, how to have a better life, how to get closer to God now, and how to develop themselves spiritually so they can have their own evidence of having a vision, having a communication with a spiritual being, or being able to communicate with angels, and how to pray. I'll digress just slightly, because it's important not to pray for things like strength and wisdom and tolerance.
What do you
because if you pray for strength, you're going to end up with all kinds of problems coming at you to make you strong. If you're looking for tolerance, you're going to meet all kinds of really, really difficult people to deal with to make you tolerant. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for wisdom, well, you're going to make every mistake in the book until you get it right. I would teach people, it's really good if you want to pray that way, that's up to you, but I suggest a better way is to pray for opportunities and for people to bring you opportunities. And mm-hmm. don't forget to add a little, the sooner the better, and also please help me to realize it's an opportunity.
Doug,
so we make practical spirituality, Rob.
Doug, what do you see for the year 2012?
This is a very unpredictable year. It's starting off with, and a lot of people your listeners will agree, or will, if they look back, at the after Christmas didn't feel like Christmas to a lot of people.
No, that's true.
And there felt like a lot of panic, depression, mm-hmm. and I mean severe panic. Fear was gripping people around the New Year's time, and it lasted for 3 or 4 or 5 days after. What we're going to see more in this year is relationships right now. Marriages are going to be in jeopardy, so hang on to your marriage if you can. Mm-hmm. People are going to fall in love a lot easier, so I'm looking at the more emotional nature as being the most important thing right now. But depression and really bad feelings and fearful feelings are coming up because I believe people are becoming closer and closer to the planet and how the planet is, and it's rebelling. In the book, The New Renaissance, which is a downloadable book, by the way, from the website, we discuss what's going on this year, and we talk about why these things are happening. And most importantly, this year we're going to see more volcanic activity, we're going to see more volcanic ash in the air, and we're going to see more earthquakes, mm-hmm. including the ones that go up and down Lake Ontario here. So it's a year, it's a tumultuous year where we're going to see the world rebelling, We're going to see political changes. I think there's something like 53 countries in the world this year are going to change their governments. This is an unknown, not an unknown, it's a phenomenal amount of governmental elections or changes this year. Out of 200 countries in the world, we're talking about 25 or 30% of the world's governments are going to change it this year. The weather conditions will continue to be erratic because the oceans are heating up. This is the evidence of why we're having all this strange weather and why there is such difficulty, and the ice caps are melting. The oceans are heating up to 2 to 3 to 4 degrees more. 2 degrees are disastrous. 3 degrees is just unbelievable, and 4 degrees is just out of this world with what's going to happen. And this is why we're going to see more earthquakes in the ocean. We're going to see more difficulties in water this year, like we're already seeing some of the cruise ship that capsized. We're going to see more difficulties involving water, more tsunamis, etc. Off the coast of Spain on the southwest, there was some underground volcanic activity, and there was not too long ago, I think it was November, or maybe it was October, there were reports of tsunami coming across the ocean, the Atlantic, and hitting the east coast of America. Yeah. We're going to see more of this fear and more of these difficulties. But we're also going to see more discoveries of the subatomic world. People are going to come up with new procedures medically. I think a couple, 3 weeks ago, Rob, maybe you know, there was an announcement that they have discovered some cure for AIDS in London, Ontario, or at least there was something that briefly went by. We're going to see more of this going on. Multiple sclerosis will be next. We're going to find that people who have mental disorders, retarded children, and mongoloid children, there's going to be evidence on how to give them supplements or nutrients that's going to change the whatever's causing this problem to occur. And we're also going to find out more about autism and the remedies or cures for autism. I know right now doctors are encouraged to give young babies inoculations and vaccines. I personally think that's a really bad idea because the baby's too young. It should be, wait till the child's 5 or 6 years of age before you start giving it viruses and inoculations to prevent disease coming into an infant. And I think ideas and philosophies along those ways of being more in harmony with preventative medicine than rescue medicine is also going to come this year. But make no mistake, it's going to be an unpredictable year. We're going to see gold up to $2,800. We're going to see more difficulties with interest rates up to 25, 30, maybe 33%. There's going to be more unemployment. And whatever's going on in Italy and whatever's going on in Europe is going to spread to us in the West. And we're going to see, I think, more inflationary influences, and we'll have our own labor problems here in Canada and the U.S. But Canada is a good country. We're going to be safe here, safe for some activities in the Montreal area where there might be some rumblings and some awakening of the volcanoes down that way. I think there's 6 of them down
there are.
The South Shore.
Well, you see, Montreal itself is built on a volcanic island.
Yes, you're right. Yes, it's Mount Royal, right?
Mount Royal. Mount Royal, and at the very top of Mount Royal, where the actual volcanic top is Beaver Lake, a man-made lake. And then you've got Mont Saint-Hilaire, you've got Mont Grégoire, you've got, Mont Saint-Bruno. So right in that little area there, you've got 4 volcanic mountains, and of course it runs along the earthquake belt that echoes the Ottawa River Valley.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've seen that the ocean is going to come back down St. Lawrence, and several people, maybe some of the listeners, have had prophetic dreams or dreams where they've seen sharks in Lake Ontario or Lake Erie. Certainly there have been several people report that to me, and I think there was even one caught in a newspaper article. There was a shark somewhere in Lake Ontario somewhere, or I forget now. I shouldn't say for sure Lake Ontario, but perhaps in the St. Lawrence somewhere. We're going to see more of these unusual things. I've been predicting. I did some predicting before Christmas in the 6 months that it took to get the information together for the New Renaissance Prophecy downloadable book that my son put together.
Hey, Doug, stand by. You and I have talked our way right to the very edge of the commercial break. Please stand by. Douglas James Cottrell is my guest, and we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break right here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Douglas James Cottrell is our guest. Doug, why do you think there's so much negativity and negative thoughts about December the 21st, 2012? And if the internet hadn't been brought in, which I still call the greatest septic tank that man has ever created, would there be so much hype about December the 21st, 2012?
Interesting perspective. There is some belief that the internet, from Nostradamus' time and other seers who have said that the world will be covered from some web that seems to be disrupting it, that what if that all the thoughts and the negativity that's out there is circulating around the globe in the cloud, as they call the internet, that it's actually affecting a delicate balance of our planet. It is a septic tank out there. There's so much hatred. There's so much animosity, and people are just so violent each other and verbally abusive that it's amazing. I think it's because it's a place where people are venting their frustrations on one hand, and on the other hand, it's just human nature coming out with everybody's looking for problems. They're looking for somebody to blame. And I think that the 2012 is a scary time. But, you know, the Mayans, I'm sure you'll find out when you're on your trip in South America, the Mayans were an orderly society. They had the universe figured out mathematically. They looked at the Milky Way as the most important symbol of prophecy in the world, as opposed to the planets and astrology. So what if there is a divine a mechanism that allows us to see the world go through the times of change and these times of difficulty? This is a time, an ending time, and I think this negativity and this hostility that's out there is exacerbated by the internet, absolutely.
Doug, as always, it's great talking to you, and time just flies by so fast when you're with us. Let our listeners know about your college, how they can get in contact with you, and, of course, your website, and how they can get a copy of your new book.
Yeah, well, it's a downloadable book, and we have a sample chapter people can read before they buy. It's a $39 value, but it's on for $19.95 if they download it in a pre-order basis right now at my full name, DouglasJamesCottrell.com. If people are interested in finding out more about our facility here down at 180 Beach Boulevard in Hamilton, it's mmsci.org. It stands for Many Mansions Spiritual Center, and it's an incorporated nonprofit charity organization, which we are attempting to put the history school together. It's a huge facility. It's a $1 million building that we're in right now, and it's been totally donated. And all the furnishings and the artwork has been also donated. There are a lot of people behind this project, so if people are interested in coming by and seeing the place, go to the website, Many Mansions Spiritual Center, Inc., mmsci.org, and they can find out more about the charitable work that's going here. If they want to know more about the Mystery School, it's my website, www.douglasjamescottrell.com. And they can call me, 905-393-5104.
All right, Doug, thanks very much for joining us. We've run out of time, but X Zone Nation, for more information on Douglas, visit his site, www.douglasjamescottrell.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues. Where? Right here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away.